So we can't go back to the Pilgrims because we're killing Indians. So that's not the time whenever we need to go back to. We need to take America back for God, but we can't go back there. We can't really go back to the founding because the founders didn't really believe in Jesus. They believed in God, but not Jesus. And so that doesn't really help me because so do Muslims. So does Satan. Satan believes in God. So what? You believe in God. That's not how you get into heaven. Believing in God has nothing to do with getting into heaven. You need to believe what Jesus did. You need to believe in who Jesus is. But for the early founders, they didn't care about that. But they still get called Christian. Blows your mind. It shows you the lack of discernment operating today. Low bar, a very low bar. Back to the days of racial segregation. Some people say, well, we got to go back to make America great. And we ask, what decade are you going to go to? What decade? Pick one. 1960s? Back to the days of racial segregation? Whenever blacks were hosed like dogs in the streets? Where blacks and whites were separated and segregated and told it was good for them, that it was God's idea? Is this what we want to go back to? Is this what we're all trying to get back to? Is this where we want to go back? This is waiting for us. It's right just a little behind us. Do we want to go back? I've spoken at so many conferences and churches over the years, and every single time minorities will come up to me afterwards and say, thank you for saying those things. Because nobody speaks for them. A black person does not want to take America back, friends. A black Christian says, no, thank you. I've spoken to them after several of my speeches. They're like, finally, somebody understands. We don't want to go back. There's too much confusion today, and that's a sign of the lack of discernment today among the church. Cover your eyes if you're sensitive, but this is real and this is history. This is the charred corpse of Will Brown after being killed, mutilated, and burned near Omaha, Nebraska. 1919. This was called a spectacular lynching. Back in the older times that we want to go back to, many Christians are fond of this era. This black man was accused of raping a white woman. Couldn't even finish the trial. They had the man out on the lawn, chased him down, hung him, burned him to a crisp, and laughed the whole time. Caught on pictures. Here's Jesse Washington, 1916. This is actually a postcard showing the charred corpse of Jesse Washington, a mentally retarded 17-year-old African-American boy in Texas who was lynched in nearby Waco, Texas in 1916. You can see on the back of the postcard, this was the writing. These postcards, by the way, you can buy on eBay. You can buy these postcards where they actually put these in drugstores of lynchings of black men. You talk about intimidation. You could buy these at the corner drugstore and then send them to friends. Here, you can see this is a postcard in Texas. This is the barbecue we had last night. My picture is to the left with a cross over it. Your son, Joe. Send him a picture of this. Wanted to celebrate. Is that Christ-like?